So I'm going to just start making a lovely introduction to keep us on time. We keep these about a half hour. I'm Andrew Rosen, the president of Diversified. We have Sarah here proctoring as our panelist. She is our head of marketing, and the lovely Lindsay Rosen, who is our registered dietitian and lovely sister-in-law. So I think it's worth mentioning this is part 2 in our 3-part series on nutrition. We are doing this for our clients as we sort of have this belief that we handle their finances very well, but it's about sort of the mind, body, and soul, or we call it wealth, health, and happiness, and where we can provide resources and benefits for our clients to live their best life, which is what we try to do with their finances and encourage them to do so. We recognize their happiness is paramount, their finances are paramount, and to do so, their health is paramount. So I hope everyone looks at this as additive to our clients, attractive. And at the end of the 3-part series, which we have the next one next month, right, Sarah, which we'll be putting out information on. And again, sharing this on all our platforms, and please share it with others. But we are taking questions. If you have them, feel free to shoot them to me over type on the Q&A, and I will take them as we see fit. So, Lindsay, in the interest of keeping everyone on time, and I will eat lunch after this, and you're teaching me how to eat healthier, why don't you start as always? So thank you, Lindsay, for joining us and giving your well-earned time.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. So like you said, I'm going to jump right in. So today we're just going to discuss easy ways to make changes in your diet to cut back 100 calories. So whether you're looking to just improve your health, manage your weight, or even lose some weight, it's always a good idea to cut back on your empty calories. So maybe you're eating excess things, or you want to make some quick changes. It might not seem like these are big changes, and that's what I'm here to show you. But just foregoing 100 calories a day might not seem like a big sacrifice, but it will actually help you to lose at least 1 pound a month. And like I said, these are some very easy changes, some really small tweaks, and things that you probably won't even miss much.
Awesome.
Okay, so the first easy way to cut back 100 calories is, instead of drinking sugary sodas, sip on flavored sparkling water. So water, or sparkling water, is sugar-free, it's calorie-free, and it could have lots of flavor depending on how you flavor it. So a 12-ounce can of soda, whether it's Pepsi, Coca-Cola, whatever, it's going to be pretty high in calories, so about 150 calories for a 12-ounce can, and it's going to pack in a lot of carbs, which are coming exclusively from added sugar. If you drink diet soda, which might be a solution that you might think would be favorable, diet soda, although it's calorie-free and sugar-free, it has a lot of artificial sweeteners, artificial coloring, and it's obviously not natural like water. So choosing a flavored or even plain version of sparkling water or seltzer is a really all-natural and tasty way to get that carbonation that you're looking for, but also get a great taste.
Lindsay, let me ask you a question on that.
Sure.
So are there brands you really like? I always ask you that. And also, is there a caffeine alternative? Because I would imagine once upon a time when I was big in the soda game, right, I drank it mainly as a source of caffeine. So
sure.
Are there ways to, so 2 questions there for you.
So as far as like a sparkling water that's caffeinated, I do not know of any that are caffeinated. I mean, obviously there's other ways to get caffeine, coffee, tea, things like that. Even chocolate has some caffeine in there. So maybe not from the sparkling water beverage as far as the caffeine part. And then to answer the second part of your question, as far as like different brands, I mean, I'm not a huge carbonation person, but I know a lot of people like, I'm blanking on the name, but I'm thinking of Hal's. People love Hal's. I feel like I know so many people that drink that one. And they say that the flavors are really great. It comes in a lot of like creative flavors, like grapefruit, what is it, like cherry, cherry cola or whatever it is. But it doesn't really matter. I would just say making sure that there's no added sugars. That's the number one thing. And also, if all else fails, the Soda Stream and all those machines are very popular. You can add your own flavors to them, your own fruit, slices of lemon, orange, lime, you name it.
Awesome.
Okay, so moving on to tip number 2. So instead of, if you're looking for like a crunchy, salty kind of snack, instead of having some chips or pretzels, have a bowl of popcorn. So what I want to point out here is that a small, so 1.5 small bag of potato chips is going to pack in 240 calories, whereas that same size bag of pretzels, it seems like, 80 less calories, 160 calories, but it's going to be all from refined carbohydrates. There's no dietary fiber there. So it's not a better solution. So the better solution would be popcorn. So 3 cups of popcorn is only 60 calories and it's 100% whole grain.
You put seasoning on it. I mean,
I'm sorry.
I'm sure down seasoning in butter is not your recommendation. Is there seasoning you like to throw on it?
Yeah, so you can get really creative with the popcorn. If you're popping it yourself, you could add, like savory types of seasonings like cayenne pepper, garlic powder, paprika, that kind of stuff. You can even add a little bit of ground cinnamon, nutmeg, sweeten it like that. I mean, the other thing is, it's a lot lower in calories. So if you want to add some flavoring, which is going to be virtually calorie-free as well, you can really go a lot crazier here.
Okay. And I have a question for you from the group. Any
Sure.
benefit to carbonated water versus flat water, or with
No.
gas, as the Europeans say?
Right. So, I mean, it's the exact same thing as far as hydration is concerned. So, when we say the recommended amount of water per day, that could be flat or sparkling.
Cool. Thank you.
I would just say, as far as with the water, it's whichever one you're going to realistically drink. If you prefer carbonated water, that's fine, as long as you're drinking water. Okay, so the next tip would be, instead of calorie-dense peanut butter, choose a powdered peanut butter. So I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with what powdered peanut butter is, but basically, any natural peanut butter is going to be made from just peanuts and maybe some salt. Peanuts, although they are very healthy, are going to be pretty high in fat. It is a heart-healthy fat, but they are very caloric. So with powdered peanut butter, what we do is you take the peanuts and you dehydrate them, and you actually remove a lot of that dietary fiber. So all of that oil, that fat, gets removed. And that is where most of the calories lie. So 2 small tablespoons of peanut butter, and a tablespoon is about the size of the tip of your thumb. So think about 2 tips of your thumb, really not a lot. So 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is going to be almost 200 calories, whereas 2 tablespoons of powdered peanut butter is about a quarter of that. So only 45 to 50 calories, depending on the brand. So with this powdered peanut butter, you can either mix it with some water or a little bit of milk or almond milk to rehydrate it and turn it back into that spread that we all enjoy. Or you can mix it into something like a smoothie, a yogurt bowl, to add that peanut buttery flavor.
Okay, here's a question for you out of my wheelhouse. Are you scared of aflatoxin toxins in molds that are in all peanuts, regardless of source or manufacturing?
No, I'm not. I'm not scared of it. I mean, when it comes to these any toxins, it all comes down to the amount that you're consuming. So, we're talking about like a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons here and there. So, when it comes to any like claim like that, you really have to think about the amount that you're consuming.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the next tip would be, instead of regular rice, opting for riced cauliflower. So cauliflower is a very trendy vegetable these days, and you can, make cauliflower pizza, cauliflower steaks, and cauliflower rice. So when we are talking about riced cauliflower, you're taking a raw cauliflower head and you're basically grinding it up so that the pieces resemble rice granules. And you're going to cook it like just in a saute pan, or cooking it almost to resemble rice. So 1 cup of white rice is going to be about 240 calories, whereas 1 cup of rice cauliflower is only 25 calories. Obviously, because it's a vegetable, so the calories are going to be a lot lower. I will tell you here that rice cauliflower does not necessarily taste like rice. So if you're looking for a starchy side dish, I would say a really good way to just up your veggies and cut back in your calories would be to cut your portion using half rice, half cauliflower rice, mixing them together. That way, when you take a bite, you're actually tasting the rice, but you're getting in a lot more dietary fiber and veggies.
Well, it reminds me of favorite meme, Lindsay, which is, if cauliflower can be pizza, you can be anything.
Exactly.
Right? I
Exactly.
always chuckle when I say that.
So exactly what you're saying, it's not going to taste like rice. So don't take a bite of it and expect it to be rice. So a good way to up your veggies and, cut back on what you're eating, like I'm saying, is just to mix the two. That way you do have some rice there too. All right, next topic. So instead of a calorie clogged salad dressing, top your veggies or salads with salsa or mustard. So the issue here is that a lot of the bottled salad dressings have a lot of calories, fat, sugar, and a lot of additives that we don't even know what they are. A lot of times we have good intentions and think, okay, I'm going to have a healthy meal. I'm going to have a healthy side dish. I'm going to have vegetables. I'm going to have a salad. But then what happens is you take your veggies and you douse it in this creamy or caloric salad dressing, and all of a sudden you're taking something that's healthy and immediately making it unhealthy. So these low calorie veggies are turning into a high calorie side dish or meal. So 2 small tablespoons of salad dressing can be anywhere from 100 to 200 or more calories, which sounds crazy. So my recommendation here would be to make your own dressing, or mix like a salsa or a mustard with any type of vinegar to make your own vinaigrette. So you can play around with the combinations. My personal favorite is 1 part Dijon mustard to 1 part balsamic vinegar. I will take whatever mustard I have and mix it with whatever mustard I have, mix it with some vinegar. I'll put it in a large like pitcher type thing, for salad dressing, and keep it for the week. You can add whatever you want in there, whatever seasonings you like. So some, garlic powder, salt, pepper, some lemon juice mixes really well in there. But just play around. You can add some fresh herbs and spices, and it's really delicious.
Great tip.
Okay, so I just wrote out some other easy, quick tips, and we can just discuss them as you have some questions. So the first thing would be, eat your sandwich open faced. So a lot of times when we're eating a sandwich, you are really eating it for what's on the inside of the sandwich, not for the bread. So whether it's a turkey sandwich, a tuna sandwich, anything, I would say that, take off one of the slices of bread and eat it with 1 slice of bread and just the fillings.
I did that the other day. Jess made dinner, and it was pretty good. It's an open-faced French onion sandwich, a French onion soup sandwich, and I threw the second half away, and I'm already a student, I feel like.
Exactly. That's great. Okay, next tip. So cut your 1 cup portion of your grain in half and add more veggies to boost the fiber. So like we spoke about with the rice and the rice cauliflower before, you can do the same thing with, I'll tell people to spiralize zucchini, for example. to make like zucchini linguine and mix that with spaghetti. Or really any starch, just mixing it with more vegetable. And the key here is when you're adding the vegetable to the grain, each bite you're going to taste the grain, and then you're going to up your veggies and your fiber, but you're still going to get the flavor that you're looking for.
Lindsay, educate us real quick, because I know, I mean, we speak quite often. You're a big fan of increasing fiber. What does that do? Why are you such an advocate for fiber increase to help your health?
Sure. So fiber is a type of carbohydrate that's indigestible. So what that means is it doesn't get digested. So what happens is when you eat a carbohydrate that is high in fiber, again, that's the indigestible part, it's going to pass in your body, and it's going to bind onto things. It's going to act like a sponge. So it's going to bind onto fat, toxins, cholesterol, and then it gets excreted from the body. So it basically just goes into the body, grabs onto things, and then passes through. So it's like when you eat something that has fiber, that doesn't get digested, which means that it's like, they call it a net carb. So if you're eating something that has carbs and has fiber, the fiber takes away some of those carbs. So basically it helps with excretion, it helps with improved heart health, and just keeps you full. It really helps to increase satiety as well.
Cool. I was always wondering. Thank you.
Yeah. So next tip would be to choose a low-fat milk. So 8 ounces of whole milk has 150 calories, whereas 8 ounces of skim milk has 80 calories. And obviously the reason for that is because of the decreased amount of fat in there, so less calories. The next tip is use smaller dishware. So this is something that's interesting. Obviously, when we eat with our eyes first. So when you put things on your plate, you just, you're looking at what the food is. If food doesn't look good, your immediate thought is that it might not taste good either. If food looks good, you think that it's going to taste good, even if it might not. So when you're putting things on your plate, you want to fill up your plate. If you're starting with a smaller plate, you're going to immediately consume less because you feel like that plate is full. So whether you're having one full plate or 2 helpings, you're going to base it on how full that plate is.
Thanks.
Next tip would be to use a non-stick skillet and cooking spray instead of butter and oil. So the thought behind this is that when you're using a regular pan and the food is going to stick to it, you need to grease it up. So you need to put some oil or butter so that your food doesn't stick. That's going to immediately add a lot of calories. 1 tablespoon of butter or oil is about 120 calories off the bat. If you need to grease up that pan, you're just adding 120 calories without even enjoying it. So by using a nonstick skillet and some cooking spray, that's going to immediately cut back on that 120 calories.
Great.
Next tip would be to choose veggies in your omelet instead of cheese and meat. And again, this is going to help fill you up. Obviously, vegetables are going to be a lot lower in calories, higher in fiber. So you're going to feel full and also eat less in the end.
Oh, cheese is so good in those omelets, Lindsay.
Yeah, I mean, add a little bit, or use a really, my tip here would be to use a really strong flavored cheese. So something that you need a lot less of. So cheeses like mozzarella cheese, it's a very mild cheese. So you don't really taste it as much as something that's stronger. You can just use a little bit and the flavor will be a lot bolder.
That's a good one. I like that.
So choose different condiments. So choose things like avocado, mustard, hummus, or plain Greek yogurt instead of mayonnaise. So when you're choosing different condiments, the ones that I listed here, like avocado, mustard, they're going to be low in calories. They're going to be high in flavor. Avocado is very heart healthy, whereas mayonnaise is not heart healthy, very artery clogging.
Yeah. How about low-fat mayo?
So like, so obviously something that's low in fat is going to be lowering calories. But when you take out something like the fat, they're going to add other things to make it palatable. So they might be adding more sugar, more salt. The other thing is, are you going to enjoy whatever you're making with the low fat version, or are you going to feel like you need to add more to make it taste as good as with the real mayo?
Gotcha. Okay. Well, now I won't. You're taking away all my condiments, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'll do
play
that.
around. And the thing is, use less. That always helps, So if you're making tuna salad, for example, and you like mayonnaise in it, use a little bit less, or, add some mayo and maybe some mustard or something that's going to give it a different kind of flavor.
Right. And these are all incremental steps. These aren't,
Yeah.
what you're not doing here is putting someone on a harsh diet. You're saying, here are great ways to plant things that are high caloric, high dead calories, and replace them, and not give too much on the flavor or dish.
Yeah, so you bring up a really good point, and that's why I'm trying to give a lot of tips, but my hope here is that each person can resonate with 1, 2, maybe 3 of these tips and say, these are the ones that I'm going to start implementing into my daily diet. So you might say, I'm not giving up my mayo and my tuna salad, but I really wouldn't mind eating my sandwich open-faced, or I really wouldn't mind adding some rice cauliflower to my rice because I don't need as much rice as I'm consuming. The point is that by making very small changes and making very incremental changes, it really will lead to big results, because you're changing your habits and you're making sure that the changes that you're making are sustainable and maintainable for you, so that it's not a diet. It's just, I'm changing what I'm doing. You will find that maybe you like these things better, that you don't miss the extra rice. You don't mix the extra piece of bread. You don't need as much mayonnaise in your tuna or chicken salad, but that you're making some changes and they're going to work for you in the long run.
Awesome.
So next tip here would be to choose tuna packed in water instead of oil. Again, this is just going to cut back on the calories. So ditch the clean plate club. So this means, challenge yourself to leave 3 to 4 bites on your plate. See if you're that much hungrier by leaving over a few bites. You don't need to finish every meal. It's a really good way to practice mindful eating and just see how you feel when you're eating. Maybe you're used to finishing everything that's on your plate, and by just challenging yourself for 1 meal today, I'm going to leave a couple bites and see if it makes all the difference. I bet that it won't. Before you're cooking your meats, trim off the fat. It's a lot easier to trim off the fat before you cook it than after. Change your cooking method. So bake, broil, or grill your proteins instead of frying them. Just by changing your cooking method, it's going to cut back on the fat. Oh, I just said this one, but ditch the skin on your poultry. Cook with less fat. So if you need to cook with butter, oil, margarine, whatever it is, just use less and see if that makes a difference. Season with lemon instead of butter. So if you're making vegetables, season them differently. Use some fresh lemon juice, herbs and spices. It's really going to bring out the flavor of the vegetables a lot more. When you are eating, slow down. So practice mindful eating and pay attention to how you're feeling. So similar to what I just said about leaving over a few bites, check in with yourself when you're eating. This might sound really awkward in the beginning, but think about it, like, am I still hungry or am I good? The food will still be there if you decide that you want more. But, once you've consumed it, there's nothing you can do now. Before you eat.
I'm bad at that one.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's a practice, and just eating a little bit slower. When you are eating, figuring out what else are you doing at that time. So, are you just eating? Are you also socializing? So maybe you're with friends or you're with family. Focus on what else you're doing as well. So put down your fork, engage in your conversation. Your fork is still there if you want more to eat. but that helps you just check in with yourself. Start your meal with a salad or veggie-based soup. So get in some vegetables before you even start the main course of your meal. That will help to fill you up as well. And then you might realize that you don't need as much of the main course. When you're baking, substitute oil for applesauce. That will help cut back on calories as well. When you're drinking hard alcohol, make your mixed drinks with seltzer or water instead of juice, soda, or tonic water. Have whole fruit instead of fruit juice. That helps to avoid added sugar and calories and also boost the dietary fiber because, like I've said before, you're getting the skin from the fruit. If you're having a coffee drink, use less sugar or less of the flavored syrups.
Sure.
Snack on frozen fruit instead of sugar-laden popsicles. That's going to cut back on added sugars as well. If you have a smoothie, use as the base of your smoothie, use water, unsweetened almond milk, or low-fat milk instead of fruit juice. Don't eat your snacks straight from the bag. Pour some out on a plate or a bowl. That way you can, again, you eat with your eyes. So when you see it in the bowl or on the plate, you see how much is in front of you. If you want more, you can always get more, but don't eat straight from the bag. Oh, so this is a good one too. So eat smaller fruit. So when we talk about like serving sizes of fruit, a serving of an apple, for example, is a baseball-sized apple, which might sound really small. A lot of times when I go to the store, I'll look for the biggest apples. You buy these huge ones. But eating smaller fruit is a really good way to also cut back on calories because when you have those large apples, you're eating about 2 servings of fruit, which is fine, but it's like eating 2 small apples.
Right, that's a good one.
So be dip savvy. So what this means is choose smarter dips. So not the creamy ones, choosing things like hummus, avocado-based dips. Yeah. And then, like I said before, limit your distractions when you're eating so that you can focus on what you're eating, the way that the food tastes, if you're feeling full. Yeah.
These are great.
So like I said, I know I threw a lot of tips out, but the hope here is that people can take a few of them and implement them into their routine.
And we will, as I said before, these are the last of the tips, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. What we plan to share this, so we'll have this email to all our clients. We're going to put it on social. So all the stuff will be there. Also, if anyone is looking, we'll have the slideshow we can share with you specifically or personally. And of course, we can reach out to Lindsay separately and put you in touch. And but more on that after the next one, which is, I believe, December 15th,
Yes.
Right, Lindsay?
Yep.
Same bat time, same bat place. And the topic will be steps towards a healthier you and family at a good time of year when we're all trying to make the New Year's resolutions.
I was just going to say the same thing. New year, new you, right?
That's it. I love it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please share this with anyone you think would benefit. And Lindsay, always a pleasure. I'll see you next week at Thanksgiving.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.